I'm Chris Puchalsky. I work for the City of Philadelphia at OTIS, that's the city's Office of Transportation, Infrastructure, and Sustainability. I'm the Director of Policy and Strategic Initiatives. That means I lead most of the policy and planning work for the city in transportation. I oversee our Office of Complete Streets and all of our Vision Zero projects and trying to build out a protected bike lane network. I oversee the bike share and bus shelter programs. I work on legislative matters. I oversee the grant funding and financing of our transportation projects. And then finally, I try to keep our relationship with SEPTA and our partnership with SEPTA on track. I did undergrad at Temple in mechanical engineering, and I went to Detroit and I designed engines for a few years, and that was great. I loved it, but at some point I realized we need more than just cleaner cars. And so I came back to Philly. I went to Penn for a PhD in urban transportation systems engineering. Thought I'd be a professor and then realized, no, academia isn't really for me. And so I got a job with DVRPC, the regional metropolitan planning organization. I stayed there for 10 years. And then I moved to the city about 6 years ago. And my wonderful colleagues at OTIS, of course. I got to give a shout out to Angie Dixon, my former colleague, and Kelly Yeeman, my current colleague. They invited me to an event. At first I was a little sheepish. It's like, I can come to this? And they're like, yes, of course. So I came, and I really like participating in the events ever since. Yeah, purpose-driven. There's a mission there. Energized. There's so much energy when you go to an event and you interact with WTS. And then open. You know, it's very open, and I don't want to use over. I was going to say inclusive, but that's so overused nowadays. So I'll just say open. It's not a closed group. I learned a lesson washing dishes in a Japanese restaurant in college. And the lesson I learned was to watch your boss and how they do their job. I'll tell you a story. So I was washing dishes, and my boss called me up one day to do something I hadn't done before. And I totally screwed it up. And he yelled at me. I was like, okay, but you never showed me how to do this, to be fair. And he said, let me tell you a story, Chris. Back in the day in Japan, old Japan, if you wanted to become a blacksmith, you had to apprentice to a blacksmith. And they wouldn't teach you how to be a blacksmith. What you did is you chopped wood and you swept the floor for years, and you watched your boss. And then one day they would hand you a hammer, and you were expected to be able to make the horseshoe or knife just by watching, because you know how to do it. And so the lessons are, A, you know, if you're watching your boss, when you get handed the hammer, you're going to know what to do. You're going to be ready for success on day one. B, don't expect to get taught. You know, you have to take the initiative to learn how to do it. No one's generally going to explain it. And C, do a good job sweeping and chopping, because you're not going to get handed the hammer if you don't do a good job on the small things.